Hello and welcome to Entrusted. I'm Susan Yurkowitz of Harbor Lily Creative. At Harbor Lily Creative, one of our core focuses is acknowledging the fact that each one of us have been entrusted with gifts and talents meant for the good of the world. This podcast is called Entrusted because in this podcast, we talk to interesting people doing fascinating things with their talents, some doing ordinary things with their talents. I'll be honest, to me, they are all fascinating. For today's episode, I am more than excited to bring on this next guest. She is a jack of all trades when it comes to art and creativity. And I'd just like to welcome to the show Nancy Miller. Welcome, Nancy.
Thank you, Susan. You're too kind.
I'm telling you, wait till these people hear what your journey has been. And for all of those of you that will hear of these amazing gifts and talents, you should know Nancy's retired. So this is more of a reflection of what she's been doing. And I actually met Nancy because I had heard that she was an amazing seamstress, and my daughter was getting married and needed some sewing done on her wedding dress. So when I approached her, though, she's like, "That's not really the type of sewing that I'm doing these days." And I came to find out one of the talents that you've been working on is more of like priest vestments. Do you want to tell a little bit more about what you've been currently working on?
Yes, I kind of got in that in a peculiar way. We needed a Christmas altar cloth at St. Hedwig's at the traditional Latin Mass. And the girl that was in charge of all the Christmas decorations and everything picked up some fabric from a secondhand store, 6 drapery panels. They looked like fine champagne colored silk. So she said, we need to do something with these. Can we make an altar cloth with these? And I thought, oh brother, yeah, I suppose I could take that on. I'll try it. So I did. I had to make pleats because the altar was long and there was a pleat in the middle and one on each corner, knife edge pleats. And it had beautiful embroidery down the sides of these panels that became the top, and across the bottom of this altar cloth. And it really did look handsome on the altar. And after Father saw it, he said, I think I might have some work for you.
Oh boy. And that's the way it always starts.
Yes, and that's how it jumped off. And I've been enjoying the process and the challenges that come with it. I have to say, yes, I've learned a lot.
Right,
So,
right. Well, that's a great way to look at it too. So tell us a little bit about your journey of what's brought you to the place of sewing. Was sewing always your main love as far as creativity goes? Share a little bit about that, would you please?
well, I'd have to say that when I was 8 years old, I couldn't reach the pump pedal on the sewing machine. It was a big iron sewing machine that was my grandmother's. And you had to pump the pedal in order to get the sewing machine to go. It had no electricity. And I started making Barbie doll clothes on there. And I had to
Word.
stand with one foot, pump with the other, because my legs weren't long enough to reach the pedal from the seat. So it was very challenging.
You were driven from a young age, eight
Yes, I
years
was.
old, and you were making doll clothes, Barbie doll
Yes,
clothes, no less. Those are
I know.
not, I imagine that wouldn't be easy to work with. I'm not going to pretend that I've
Um,
done it. So,
well, I also upholstered furniture too. I took shoe boxes and started crafting them into what might be a couch. And we had this shelving unit where it was a deep shelving unit. And I made a little house for Barbie. I didn't need the Barbie doll house. I made my own out of these 2 layers. There's upstairs and the downstairs. And I outfitted the best I could,
of course you did.
trying
Of
to
course you
copy
did.
wingback chairs and
That's amazing. So is this something when you were very young then, like when did you start to find out that you had these, I don't know if they were hidden talents of creativity, if this is something you always kind of knew, if people recognized in you?
well, my parents started to notice it when I'd be drawing pictures from books and I didn't trace them. That would be cheating. I challenged myself to draw them just by looking at them. And I don't know how good they were. I didn't save any of them, nor did my parents. But right now, I would love to go back and look at them. They were probably pretty rusty looking. But anyway, my parents, encouraged me in that line. And at school, I had a tough time. I really did. I struggled with the subjects, and I ended up flunking out of Sacred Heart grade school in the fifth grade. My parents pulled me out because my grades were so poor. They put me into the elementary school, um, and it was Perry Elementary. It wasn't Christian oriented or anything. It was public school. And I immediately grasped onto the fact that they had an art class on Fridays. So that was my favorite day of the week. And God really blessed me in so many ways in that journey, getting me out of that overly structured classroom with 35 children where you were just like a cog in a hole, and you just didn't get the attention you needed. If you had any talents, they weren't recognized readily unless you could spiel off the spelling words and get the math papers correct with all A's. Otherwise, you just kind of got lost in that classroom. So it was wonderful. My first classroom teacher, this Miss Swansinger, she was an incredible inspiration. She put up a roll of brown paper across the back blackboard, and she told us all she wanted us to do a woodlands mural. And oh, I thought I died and went to heaven.
How old did you say you were at this time?
I was in fifth grade. So I would have been,
Fifth grade.
what,
Okay.
about 10 or 11?
Oh
10,
my
I
word.
think, in fifth grade. So it just was opening up a whole new world to me, especially with art on Fridays. And I continued at home out of sheer boredom. We did not have an iPhone. That's my downfall. Scrolling through, I do find some wonderful artists, but I would sit on the front porch on a day like today where it was cool and just draw. I'd have the back of the Women's Day or the Ladies' Home Journal, and they'd have a Breck girl on the back. And I was so fascinated with faces. I loved drawing faces. And I came to become uh, more fond of drawing children. Capturing their innocence was huge. And I've drawn all my grandchildren several times. So that was where I, started springing off of the drawing and the talents that I had in that way. And I thank God for all of those, because I don't know where I would be today had I not had that at a young age.
If you don't mind, I'd like to just jump in here a little bit because I find that fascinating that according to maybe the standards you were being held up against at the time,
Mhm.
as you said, you were failing.
Oh,
I'm
fair.
curious how that made you feel at the time. I mean, that's to the point that your parents were pulling you out of that school. Were you having
I
some?
was shocked. I was shocked that they were pulling me out. I didn't realize the gravity of how badly I was doing. And they
Mm.
appealed to the principal and to the pastor, and neither one of them could help me because they had 35 children in each one of the first grade, second grade, third grade classes. And like I said, I was tall. I got stuck in the back of the room, couldn't read the chalkboard by 2 o'clock in the afternoon after they cleaned it off 3 times, and they were writing with white on smeared white. I just got
So it wasn't necessarily like learning disabilities. It was more you said you're in the back of the room behind
right,
30 some students. And
right. And
yeah,
my
that would tend to
parents,
put somebody behind.
yeah, my parents asked my mentor, Joseph Plavkin, in high school, why it was I struggled so much with the subjects. And he said, because it doesn't come easy to her like the art does.
Oh,
So,
what a compliment. What a compliment. How great that your parents were able to recognize this. So they
yeah.
knew they had seen your drawing. They knew there might be
Mhm.
something to this. And
Right,
then
right.
that's amazing. So then in fifth grade, you find that you have this art talent. And
Mhm.
tell me how you followed that from fifth grade moving forward. Did it become a career at a certain point?
Um, yes, it did later on down the road. I'd have to say my best mentors were Mr. DeMichael in junior high at Tech Memorial Junior High. He just, embraced my abilities along with several other children. One of the girls that was in our class is a well-known artist in the Erie area. And he really encouraged us. And then we had to try out for tech high school, and I was really worried that I wasn't going to meet the challenge of getting into that class. But I did, and Mr. Plovkin just championed my work. I ended up going on a bus trip with the juniors and seniors. He chose a couple of we sophomores who were starting out to go on that bus trip down to Pittsburgh to our show that was at Kaufman's department store. And I had work in that show that he was, taking us to. And that was such an honor. And I also got to clean his art brushes every day. He painted while we were drawing. He'd, take time to go around the room, see what everyone was doing, give you little hints and tips. And then he would go back to the paintings that he did that became beautiful artworks that were hung in galleries and sold in our community. So it was just incredible to watch him work, and we got so much out of that during classes. So, and
Did
then
I hear you right? It was an honor to clean his art brushes.
oh, it was, it
Was it?
was. And as I look back on it, I was so blessed. I really was. And he asked if he could come to my wedding when we used to go back and
Oh.
visit him. We used to call him Uncle Joe. Joe
Mm.
Plovkin, and went back to visit him. And he says, I want to come to your wedding, when I was telling him that I was engaged and going to be married. So he came to our wedding, and I was extremely honored and humbled.
Wow, that's incredible.
He and his wife.
What a show of support. So he,
Yes,
he was
definitely.
clearly one of your, would you say, the pivotal mentors? It sounds like even in
Yeah.
fifth grade,
Oh,
that
yes.
teacher who was
Oh, for
encouraging.
so many students. He got kids into colleges with scholarships all over the place. He wanted a lot of us to go to Columbus School of Art and Design.
Mm.
And at that time in the early 70s, it, it was a difficult time in society. And they were flying helicopter patrols over Columbus School of Art and Design in Columbus, Ohio, because of the race wars and a lot of different things that were going on politically. So I was scared to death. I still am kind of a homebody. I don't travel a whole lot and get out in the world, but I enjoy my home. And I went to school here in Erie, Pennsylvania, to Mercyhurst College back then. And I had some wonderful mentors there as well. Uh, Quit college after my third year because Boston Store was looking for an illustrator for
Mm.
the newspaper to draw the ads. And I wanted to be a commercial artist, and the school was pushing me to teach. I
Ah.
definitely did not want to go through and become a teacher after what I saw Mr. Plovkin was going through and Mr. DeMichael was going through with students. I thought I would have to really be a snob and ask for the most cooperative children in my class that wanted to learn art. So, um, not to discriminate, but but it certainly
Mhm.
would make life easier for students and the teacher if you had cooperative students in that realm.
So what do you mean by that when you say what they were dealing with? Were there students who were taking the course just because they had to? Is that what you're
Um,
kind of suggesting?
they were the students in my classroom were incredibly talented. He took nothing but the best in that classroom, but they were doing some mischievous things. They were stealing supplies from the art room, and they weren't cheap supplies, you know.
Mhm.
And some of them
Right.
feeding things to the animals at the zoo when we went on site to draw.
Oh
So
boy. So you have all that going on.
yes, and that was huge.
Oh
Um,
boy.
so yeah, there were challenges. My girlfriend got tinkled on by the lion when we were standing at the lion's cage. If you can imagine the Erie Zoo back in the day, 1970s, the bars. was
The
humiliating.
unknown hazards of painting at the zoo.
Yes, yes, oh yes. And they ate when we went into Pixie Land. The dog ate my homework. Well, the goat ate my homework. The goat ate the drawing I was working on. They were nibbling on your paper. There were challenges to going outdoors. We had a lot of fun.
What an adventure.
Yeah, it was adventuresome.
So tell us a little bit more about the Boston store. For those that are watching that don't know what the Boston store is, that's
That
kind
was
of a
5 floors of
landmark in Erie.
merchandise. Yes, it was
Yes.
5 floors of merchandise. It was like the mall rolled into one building, and the
Hmm.
upstairs was the offices, and the TikTok lounge was where you could go to lunch or dinner. It was really an exclusive store. And remember shopping there as a child, never dreamt that I would be working on the 6th floor and the corner office space looking out on State Street. It was a beautiful job. I loved doing what I did. I was more than honored that they accepted me, and they told me they loved my work because I was detail oriented. I did all the little details, like when you're handed a houndstooth check, you do a houndstooth check on a
I
jacket.
see that. Some of the pictures that just came up, is that that was your work for the
Yeah,
Boston store?
yes, those were
So
my
did they
drawings.
use more illustrations rather than photographs?
Oh, it was rare that they'd use photographs when they sent out a tabloid full of ads for a certain season,
Mm,
or if they were having a promotion of some kind, they would use photographs. And otherwise, everyday ads in the paper, Monday through Sunday, were drawn.
it's
Mm.
incredible.
It
So
was time consuming.
how much of this would you say was a natural talent versus something that, I mean, if it came easy to you, was it just sort of teaching you the pointers? How does that work when one's has that type of talent, like the fine art talent? How does that work?
I'd have to say that you have to know the formula for drawing a face, and that's what Plotkin taught us. We had a skeleton in the classroom. We had to learn to draw that skeleton and name all the bones.
Oh my. Okay.
Then, after we learned the skeleton, we had to learn what went over it. And we learned all the muscles and everything else. Had to draw that, had to name some of the muscles. So it's like a science class because if you don't know what's underneath, you can't draw it. You
That's
have to know how
impressive.
those muscles go over the bones. And it's different with little children to adults, drawing figures from, the tiniest of people to, older people. So
Right.
um, it was so enlightening going into his class and then into college. You did not get any of that in college.
Okay.
None
So
of
that
it.
was in high school. That's
That
all
was in high
right. That was
school.
all in high
Oh
school.
my gosh, it was so formative. Yes,
Mm.
I
I've
don't
actually never heard of anything like that. That's really amazing.
he taught you well. You knew
Mm,
well. You knew
okay.
perspective. You knew all the human. He said the most difficult thing to draw is the human form. And
Mm,
drawing hands is also, you just have to get them right. You have to study
mhm,
them. You have to draw a lot of them
mhm. Would
because
you call this talent, is that, was I correct in calling this fine art? Was
yes,
that sort of, okay. Okay. Thank you
I would say
for
so.
clarifying.
I would
Okay.
say so. Yes.
Now, did you ever move into the role of, specifically for fine arts, did you ever move into the role of a mentor or teacher for others to help them along their
I
art
did.
journey?
I did. They had classes at Villa College, and it wasn't a college anymore, but it was adult formation classes. You could learn how to train your dog, you could learn how to cook a meal. And they also had art classes, knitting classes, you name it. And I signed on to teach portraiture, and I did for a couple of years. It was fun. And they had an ad in the paper with my picture drawing on a portrait that I was currently working on at the time. So I did those at home. That was kind of a part-time job, drawing portraiture throughout the years from the time my children were small. I had my Prismacolor pencils on the kitchen table and my artboard in my lap. And when it was time for dinner, I popped the pencils back into a box, put the artboard in the corner, and I prepared a meal and we sat down and ate afterwards. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. So your children grew up around art supplies and all of
right.
this. Did anybody inherit the same talent?
Oh, yes, they did. My daughter, she could draw well, but she loves calligraphy, and her home, um, speaking to our faith, is full of beautiful calligraphy sayings from the Bible, scripture. on the walls of
Hmm.
her home. She has different plaques and little signs here and there reminding us, of what God expects of us and how we have to lean on him continually. And that's been a big part of my journey is
Your
knowing that
faith.
Lord. Yes.
So
Yeah.
did you grow up with faith? Is this part of what brought you through those experiences when you were younger, not understanding what's going on with my school career?
I thank God and my guardian angel and Mother Mary were with me all the time,
Mm.
guiding me. We went to Mass every single Sunday. We picked up my grandmother and we picked up my great aunt, her sister, who sang in the choir. And we didn't always sit with my aunt because she was up in the choir. I missed that she didn't sit
Mm.
with us. So the only time we had was in the car going to and from church. But it was neat. My dad would take us. My mother would go to very early Mass at 8 o'clock, and we'd go to the 10 o'clock Mass. And it was a
Mhm.
part of our life. And I told myself when I was young, I really need to find a man who is strong in his faith because I don't know if mine's strong enough to go to Mass every Sunday by myself. And,
Mm.
and I did. My
Mm.
husband went to Mass every Sunday, and we lived our faith. So,
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So I hear how faith has played an important part in your life. Has your art been therapeutic at different points in your life? I mean, I know no life gets away from having the ups and downs and the joys and sorrows. How has your life been impacted, especially in difficult times, through
mhm.
your art?
I think I found that um, to be most prevalent when I started sewing again.
Mm.
Well, I always sewed. I made clothes for my children. I made clothes for myself. I grew up in a time when we lived on one paycheck week to week. And so if I didn't make my clothes, I didn't get very many to choose from in my wardrobe. So I started making my own clothes at a young age and
That's
um,
great.
learned the ins and outs of it. It was fun and never thought of quilting until my children came along and I made a quilt for my oldest son at the time. And it was on the front of a family circle magazine, this quilt. And it inspired me so much because it had so many different variations of colors in it. It's hard to find the right fabric back in the uh, mid 1970s. It was all polyester cotton,
Mm.
and it's not good. It will rip and tear with age, whereas cotton
Okay.
doesn't do that. So his quilt is pretty rough right now
Mm.
with rips and tears, not from use, just from aging.
I
So,
see.
and that's what jump started me into, um, connecting cut up fabrics, so to
Hmm.
speak. And that's what quilting is all about. My second big quilt was my youngest son's quilt, and um, that came together as all kinds of trains, planes, and vehicles, cars, trucks, helicopters, bicycles, school buses, all kinds of different vehicles. I called it gridlock. And I took it to a quilting shop. I'd never been in a quilting shop before after I had the top of it all pieced and put together. And I needed backing from what I understood. And in the old days, they used to put blankets in between for batting. So I was
Mm.
going to use this blanket. So I did. And I had backing that I bought from this quilt shop. Well, when I was in the quilt shop, the woman asked me after seeing the quilt if I had a rider on my insurance policy for this quilt I was making.
Hmm.
And I thought, what? And she said, this piece is original and it is so unique. She said, I would say if you marketed it, it would be worth at least $3,000.
Oh my
This
word.
is back in the 1990s, the early 1990s, because my son was 2 at the time and he was born in 91. So
Okay.
I went home and my husband was floored.
Get to work. Get to work. Let's see.
Yeah, start sewing. So anyways, I joined the Quilt Guild um, right in between the time I was finishing that, because I had so many friends saying, you got to join the guild. You got to join. You would love the guild. And that was another chapter in my life, the quilt
Mm,
guild. So, and
okay.
when they hung that quilt, they loved the quilt. When they hung it, it wouldn't stay hung up because of the heavy batting that was a blanket in between.
Oh no.
I never put a blanket in between again for batting, but that was a fun
Sure.
experiment, I guess.
That's how you learn, right?
Yeah, that's how you learn. My mistakes are my greatest teachers. So,
I bet that provided a lot of community, being in the quilt guild.
oh, it was 20 years. And
Mm, okay.
I got to teach and mentor there. I made patterns and I sold
Mm.
them. I went to several quilt shops and taught classes. So it was a fun journey through those years. I'd have to say that uh, the most troubling part was when I lost my best friend to
Oh,
cancer, and she and I sewed every single week. We would fix soup and sandwiches or salad and soup, whatever, for each other at each other's houses and have a dessert. And we would sew from, 9 o'clock in the morning till 3 in the afternoon and
oh.
for lunch. And she was 10 years older than myself, and I thought of her as a sister, an older
Mhm.
sister, and we just had way too much fun together. We traveled and we had
Oh, did you?
lots of fun adventures. So
What
it
a
broke
gift.
just broke my heart, and it I think with it went my passion for quilting, and I had a hard time getting back to it. That was in 2019.
Okay.
Um,
Not too long ago.
no,
I'm really
no,
sorry for your loss.
it wasn't. Thank you. Thank you. She was a sweetheart. So,
Mm.
and she loved
That was
quilting.
right at the beginning of COVID, then 2019.
Yes.
Well, right
Yes.
prior to.
Yeah,
Okay.
she died in January of 2019. So,
Okay.
um, but I'm getting back into it gradually. I just went with a cousin to Chautauqua, the Chautauqua Harbor Hotel for 4 days of quilting and mentoring by national teachers. And
Wonderful.
Judy Fenton from Mill Creek Fabric and Sewing. She puts this on. She is incredible, incredible in this area. We are blessed to have her in our area here. So
Hmm.
she
Well,
she she inspires a lot of people to quilt.
that's wonderful.
Mhm.
So I've heard about these Jessie tree ornaments. There
Ye-
are this is quilting, right?
Oh,
And
it
how you've
certainly
made
is. It's with a number
yes.
of different fabrics, but it's quilting.
Oh
Yes.
my goodness, look at that. That's incredible. So tell me a little bit about what first of all, what prompted this? Where did these end up?
Uh,
How
I
did
was
this was this yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, I was at Holy Cross at the time. We had just started there, about a year and a half before. Father at a liturgy meeting was showing these. They were kind of on the crude side. They were made out of cardboard and construction paper, Jessie tree ornaments, and they had faded. The glue was letting go, and they were falling apart. And I started looking up Jessie tree ornaments online and getting inspired. And I thought, I can do this. And I invited the women that were in that group to join me, but I don't know if I scared them or not. But the ones that said they might like to try jumped out. And I thought, well, I've got to do this myself. And this was like in January, and I had to have them done by um, November so that they could go on the tree for Advent.
Oh
So
boy.
one goes on the tree every day of Advent. So I talked to my friend, my friend that passed away, Linda, and I asked her if she would be interested in possibly helping me on some of the simpler ones. And she said I sure would. So she helped do Jacob's ladder and the ornament for Joseph with the hammer and the square. And there were a couple more that she helped on also. Um, but anyways, I had to do two sides. They're two-sided. They're
Oh
not just
boy.
one side, they're two-sided. So they are very intense, especially the temple, Solomon's temple, I don't know if you saw the one of David's crown. That came out amazing. It really did. And Jesus, I was told he has Bishop Persico's ears. Don't let that go out. In the manger.
Oh, he's going to be on to
Jesus
you
in the
now.
manger. Jesus in the manger.
Those are beautiful.
It's so
How
cute.
long? So do some take longer than others? I
Yes,
see what
yes.
even the attention to detail
The
and
angel was one of my favorites, working on her and getting her just right. Um, so it was a lot of fun. Some were simpler. I loved the whale. Jonah's whale was so much fun to do. So this is something for not only adults but children also, and it's creation. You know, the
so
creation of
where do these live now? These Jessie tree ornaments.
they are in a very ornate box that I created for them
Mm,
with fabric, and they are at Holy Cross, and
beautiful.
they take very good care of them. So
Oh,
they understand the time that went into them. I was featured in the Faith magazine years ago, 2017 maybe, with making these, and they did
wonderful.
an entire article on me and the construction of these um,
Sure. That
ornaments.
is a year of your life
Yes, it was.
devoted to
Yes, it
this.
was.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
So I had to
I
make
have
about
to,
three a month.
okay. Oh my
There were
goodness.
25 of them, and I had to have them
Oh,
for Advent
25. Okay. So, all right. Okay.
all
Do
together.
your creative talents ever feel like work? I mean, how does that
Never,
is
never,
never? Okay.
never. And I have more patience for my mistakes and correcting things or remaking something than I ever do for anything else in my life. So when I go to confession, I'm always talking about my driving experiences behind slow people and that I have a lack of patience.
Oh,
It's like going behind people that are in a school bus in school
oh
zone.
boy. So we've gone over your fine art, your sewing, your quilting. What
Yes.
other talents have you used? I'm curious.
Um, I don't know. I just am trying to grow my faith at this point in time.
Okay.
You get to this age and you start thinking more of what's coming in the next life, and it's forever. So
Mhm.
I go to mass daily, and I thank God for the groups I have become a part of and that He put in my path. During COVID, I used to go to mass every single day before COVID, and we said the rosary afterwards. And these gals, they're all younger than I am, at-home moms, and my cousin. We decided that we wanted to continue with the rosary, even though the churches were closed. So
Mm.
we went on to one of the community apps. We're on WhatsApp now. We were on House Party or something like that at one point in time. But we've been doing this since the churches closed in 2020, saying the
Mm.
rosary every morning at 8:30. We are punctual. We're running out of church to get online. That's why I'm not too social after mass in the morning. So, anyways,
Wasn't
um,
judging.
yes, and we have made so many wonderful visits to shrines throughout the area within 1 to 2 hours away from us between Ohio and Buffalo. I've just grown closer to God through the art in these churches. The Basilica in Buffalo is incredible. Our Lady of Victory. Oh my goodness, the glory that's given to God through that church. And it's just a small example of what you might get in Europe. I don't know that I've got a trip to Europe in my future. I highly doubt it. But it's so good to be in a church that has some semblance of what you would get in Europe. Oh my goodness. So,
You've mentioned so many of the different creative outlets. So this must be one of the ways that you can fill
oh,
your well in order to be able to pour into your own art.
yes, right. Well, so many of the great artists worked with pieces that were depicting the life of our Lord. I think of Michelangelo and the like, you know. So that
Mm-hmm.
they all contributed
Mm-hmm.
to telling the story of our Lord's life,
Sure.
of
Sure.
creation history. So,
Wow. So now that you've been retired,
mhm.
do you find that you are using your creativity more or less than when you were working?
um, Probably a little less. A
Okay.
little less. I've slowed down a lot. I also take a lot of great pains in my yard, and I'm finding my yard getting bigger by the years.
Mm.
A little more
Mm-hmm.
work than I anticipated to do, and it's getting harder to do the work. So I hire everything out as far as mowing and some of the edging, and it's just not the way I would have it if I were healthy. But I did a
Mm-hmm.
lot of hardscaping and landscaping around my property, and I was humbled when this woman knocked on my door and told me that I got the Presque Isle Garden Club Award for the month.
Oh
And
my word.
I had silk red geraniums sitting next to the door because they wouldn't grow on my porch for a lack of sunlight.
You got to do what you got to do.
She,
Oh, well,
I
that's
said,
congratulations.
I said, you can't be serious. Those are silk flowers. Oh my goodness.
That is quite an honor, though.
It
That's
was. It was. I never saw that coming.
wow.
But
You
you
just have
have to
beauty
do
in so
in
many
order.
areas.
I can't take all the credit because in order to get this award, you have to take care of your own property, mulch it, weed eat, edge, maintain the flowers, deadheading, all trim bushes, all that. You have to do those things yourself. And my
Hmm.
husband did the mowing and the edging and some of the weed whacking. So he was a part of that too. But
Sure.
I planted all the plants, dug all the holes for the trees, put in the shrubs and the trees and the bushes. And he helped on occasion when he was able, but most of the time I was doing that when he was at work. So
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
I took a lot of great pleasure in doing that. And that also spoke to my getting into floral work when I was asked if I would be interested in a job doing floral arrangements at a flower shop. And I had done that when I was in high school on co-op for a few months and just got the groundwork there and went on to do floral arranging at Gerlach's. And I was humbled by all the people around me who really knew how to knock out an arrangement in a short amount of time that looked incredible. So I really appreciate the art that goes into floral arranging and what you can do with
Yeah.
flowers.
Oh, that's like a completely different
Yeah.
outlet. It's just, I'm hearing this and it's almost like one door leads into a room that leads to another door that leads to
Yes.
another room.
Yes.
How these talents have been developed in your life. It's fascinating to me.
Well, God puts these all in my path. It couldn't be anything but him and the
Mhm.
people that I've known that knew of my talents and abilities who've helped me along the way or suggested, to someone else. So it's all a part of it. So
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I have one final question for you.
mhm.
If you were to, if there's anybody that's listening that has always maybe thought they had a knack for drawing or a knack for sewing, but maybe was a little bit hesitant to step out and say, I could develop this further, or just lack of self confidence in that, what words of encouragement would you offer them?
Well, God opens up that talent for us whenever He's ready. And I found it at a very young age because of my struggling. But there's children who are out there who are very smart and who have a lot of savvy in sciences and everything else. Science is huge. There's a lot of artists who are scientists.
Mm,
Um, but I think you have to reach out to the adults in your life to mentor you, and there has to be adults, whether it's teachers in the classroom, parents and aunt and uncle and neighbors, someone who can direct you, to finding your way and opening
mm,
doors for you. One of the wonderful places in Erie I would have to say is the art house. And I did some working with children there years ago through a project that I was working on, the Ophelia project years ago with some girls. And we ended up helping some children do some craft work and stuff there. But boy, they do amazing work with children and inspiring inner city children who may not have all the opportunities that children in the suburbs wherever might have. And there are some talented children out there. They just have to find the right mentors throughout their life, and they'll pray that they do, because who knows, next Rembrandt, and they might be from inner city, not from the suburbs or, an elitist community.
Absolutely. And the flip side of that then too would be for those that are overflowing, such as yourself, with creativity, maybe as life changes, station in life changes. Um, what a great way to be able to give back would be to find
Mhm.
some of these places where they are looking for mentors.
Right,
So
right.
great, great advice, great encouragement. Thank you so much, Nancy. Thank you for sharing your time
You're
with
very
us. I
welcome.
really
Very
appreciate
welcome.
that.
Yeah.
Yes, and thank
Thank
you
you
to
for
our
having me.
oh, it was an absolute honor. It was an absolute
Thank you.
honor. Yeah, and
Thank
thank you, you viewers and listeners, for being with us today. I really appreciate it. If you haven't taken the time to subscribe, will you please do that? We'd love to be able to get the word out to more people, and this would really help build our momentum. So thank you again. I look forward to joining you on the next Entrusted podcast.
Thank you. God bless.